The text came through at 11:47 p.m. on my 30th birthday, 3 minutes before midnight, 3 minutes before the day officially ended. Sorry we missed calling. We were busy with your sister. Talk soon. No explanation, no real apology, just 7 words that somehow managed to erase an entire day, an entire life. I stared at the message, the blue light casting shadows across my empty apartment. Around me sat the remains of a birthday I'd spent alone. A cupcake from the grocery store, a single candle I'd blown out by myself, and the sound of my neighbor's TV bleeding through the walls. I didn't cry. I didn't call them back. I just sat there in the dark, and something inside me went cold. Final. Like a door slamming shut that would never open again. Before I tell you what I did next, let me ask you something. Have you ever been the invisible child? The one who learned early that love was a competition you'd already lost? That was my entire life. 30 years of coming in second. Of being the backup plan. Of learning that in my family, there was only enough attention for one daughter, and my sister Emma had claimed it the day she was born. When I was 7 years old, my sister Emma broke her arm falling off the monkey bars. I remember that month vividly. Mom took 2 weeks off work. Dad set up a special table in the living room so Emma could do homework while watching TV. They bought her a new stuffed animal collection because she'd been so brave. Every evening they'd gather around her like she was holding court, asking about her day, laughing at her stories, treating her cast like a trophy. That same month, I placed 3rd in the regional spelling bee. I'd studied for months, practicing words until they blurred together in my dreams. When I came home with my bronze medal, breathless and proud, my mother glanced up from adjusting Emma's pillow. "That's wonderful, sweetie," she said, her voice distant. Then she turned back to my sister. "Emma, do you need more ice cream?" I put the medal in my desk drawer. I never looked at it again. That day, I learned what mattered in our house. Achievements were nice, but Emma's comfort was sacred. By 12, I'd learned to be invisible. Emma got piano lessons because she showed such natural talent. I asked for art classes and was told art supplies were too expensive. When Emma made the volleyball team, my parents bought season tickets and never missed a game. When I joined the debate club, they came to 1 competition out of 12. They left at halftime because Emma called saying she was bored at home. High school was more of the same, just with higher stakes. Emma was homecoming princess, president of 3 clubs, the girl everyone knew. I was the one teachers had to check the roster to remember. Senior year, we both applied to colleges. Emma got into a decent state school with mediocre grades. I got into a better university with a partial scholarship and 3 years of perfect attendance. The night Emma's acceptance letter came, Dad opened champagne. They called relatives. They posted on social media. When mine came 2 weeks later, Mom said, "Oh, that's great, honey," without looking up from her phone. She was texting Emma about dorm room decorations. College didn't change anything. My parents visited Emma's campus 4 times first semester. They came to mine once, stayed 2 hours, spent most of it on the phone with Emma. They helped her move every year. They sent care packages. They paid for her textbooks without being asked. I worked 2 jobs, applied for every grant I could find, ate ramen most nights. When I asked if they could help with books one semester, Dad sighed. "We're already stretched thin with Emma. Can you figure it out?" I did. I always did. Because that's what invisible children learn. You either figure it out or you disappear completely. Birthdays were always a particular kind of torture. Emma's birthdays were events. Themed parties, dozens of friends, elaborate cakes Mom spent days decorating. My birthdays were quieter, smaller. "You don't like big crowds anyway," Mom would say, which wasn't true. I just learned to say I didn't, because it hurt less than admitting I wanted what Emma had. One year, my birthday fell on the same weekend as Emma's dance recital 3 hours away. My parents sat me down very seriously. They'd have to celebrate mine another time. Another time came 2 weeks later with a grocery store cake and a bookstore gift card. Emma's recital got a dozen roses and dinner at her favorite restaurant. I stopped expecting much after that. I'd book my own birthday dinners, buy myself presents, make my own traditions. It was easier than hoping, but 30 felt different. 30 felt like a milestone that deserved acknowledgement. I didn't plan anything big, didn't send reminders. I just thought, surely they'd remember on their own. Surely 30 years was worth a phone call. The day came. I woke up to messages from friends, a few cousins, even my dentist's office with an automated greeting. Nothing from my parents, nothing from Emma. I told myself they were planning a surprise. Dinner came and went. 7 p.m., 8 p.m., 9 p.m. I sat on my couch, phone in hand, checking it every few minutes. The silence was deafening. By 11 p.m., I'd accepted it. They'd forgotten. Not just forgotten, but hadn't even realized they'd forgotten. Then at 11:47 p.m., the text came through. Sorry we missed calling. We were busy with your sister. Talk soon. I read it 3 times. No explanation. No promise to make it up to me. I checked Emma's social media. Photos from earlier that day. She and my parents at brunch. She'd gotten a promotion and they'd taken her out to celebrate. All day. They'd spent my entire birthday celebrating my sister, and not one of them had remembered me. I set my phone down very carefully. For a long moment, I just sat there, the city lights filtering through my windows. I wasn't sad anymore. I was somewhere colder, clearer. I'd spent 30 years waiting to matter to them, 30 years coming in second. And in that moment, with absolute certainty, I knew I was done. I opened my laptop. I'm a data analyst by profession. I'm good at patterns, at seeing what others miss. And sitting there at almost midnight, I decided to treat this like any other analysis. Quantify the damage, document the evidence, build an undeniable case, not for confrontation, for liberation. I started with my phone. Every voicemail from the past year. I listened to each one, taking notes. 23 calls total. 21 were about Emma or logistics involving Emma. 2 were return calls after I'd tried to reach them multiple times. I exported the call logs, saved the recordings, added them to a folder labeled simply Documentation. Next, the shared family calendar. I took screenshots going back 3 years. I was in there 4 times last year. Emma appeared 47 times. Doctor appointments, brunches, shopping trips, random Tuesday dinners. Every entry was a data point proving what I'd always known but could never quite articulate. I wasn't imagining it. The numbers didn't lie. Then I opened my banking app. Every penny I'd spent on them over 5 years. Flights home for holidays, birthday gifts, Christmas presents, the expensive whiskey Dad loves, the designer scarves Mom collects, the $1,000 I'd contributed to Emma's wedding fund, money I'd put on a credit card because I wanted to be a good sister. The total came to $8,340. I documented every transaction, every receipt, added it all to the folder. By sunrise, I had a complete picture. 30 years of systematic erasure, quantified and organized. And I had a plan. Simple. Final. I would stop participating in a family that had never included me. No drama, no explanations, just absence. I would become as invisible to them as I'd always felt. The first step was the hardest. I needed to tell them I knew. Not in anger, but in cold, undeniable fact. I spent 2 days drafting the message. Every version felt either too harsh or too weak. Finally, I settled on something simple, true, impossible to argue with. Sunday afternoon, I called. Dad answered, cheerful and oblivious. "Hey, sweetie, how are you?" "I'm calling about my birthday," I said, my voice even. Silence. Then Mom picked up the other extension. "Oh God, sweetheart, we're so sorry. We completely forgot. We were with Emma, she got that promotion, and it just slipped your mind," I finished. "I know. I saw the photos." Uncomfortable pause. "We'll make it up to you," Dad said quickly. "We'll take you out next weekend. Anywhere you want." "That won't be necessary," I said. "I'm calling to let you know I won't be coming home for Thanksgiving this year." "What?" Mom's voice rose. "Why?" "Because I'm tired of being the one you remember when Emma's not available." "That's not fair," Mom said. "We love you both equally." "No," I said, and my voice was steady as stone. "You don't. And that's okay. But I'm done pretending it doesn't hurt." "You're overreacting," Dad cut in. "We made a mistake. People forget things." "You didn't forget," I said. "You spent my entire birthday celebrating my sister. That's not forgetting. That's choosing." Mom started to cry. A year ago, that sound would have broken me. Now I felt nothing but relief. "I need space," I said. "Don't contact me unless I reach out first." I hung up before they could respond. The phone rang again immediately. I blocked the number. Emma texted, "Mom's crying. What did you do?" I deleted it without responding. For the first time in my life, their crisis wasn't my emergency to manage. The next few days were strange. Quiet in a way I wasn't used to. I'd spent 30 years being available, jumping when they called, rearranging my life around their needs. Now, with my phone silent, I felt like I was learning to breathe differently. I went to work. I came home. I cooked actual dinners. I called friends I'd been too busy to see. I said yes to invitations I'd normally decline. A week later, a package arrived. Inside was an expensive necklace and a card. "We're so sorry we hurt you. Please come home for Thanksgiving. We love you." No acknowledgement of what I'd actually said. Just a gift, as if jewelry could replace 30 years of neglect. I put it back in the box and set it in the closet. I didn't send a thank you note. Thanksgiving approached. My phone filled with messages I didn't read. "Are you sure you won't come?" "Emma's really upset. We're family. We should be together." Each message proved my point. Not once did anyone ask how I was. It was all about how my absence affected them. I spent Thanksgiving with my friend Rachel and her family. They asked about my life. They laughed at my jokes. Rachel's mom hugged me and said, "I'm glad you're here." It was the best Thanksgiving I'd had in years. December came. Christmas was the real test. I sent a group text on December 1st. "I won't be coming home for Christmas. I hope you have a wonderful holiday." The response was volcanic. Phone calls, voicemails. Emma sent a long text about how I was tearing the family apart and being selfish. Mom sent a voice message crying, saying I was breaking her heart. I listened to each message once. Then I archived them all. I spent Christmas in my apartment, decorated exactly how I liked it, cooking food I actually enjoyed. On Christmas evening, I posted a photo. Me, smiling in front of my little tree, caption reading, "Grateful for chosen family and quiet joy." Within an hour, my phone lit up. My Aunt Patricia, my mom's older sister. "Can I call you?" We talked for 2 hours. She told me things I'd never known. How she'd confronted my mom about the favoritism over the years, only to be dismissed. How she'd tried to compensate by remembering my events, sending extra birthday cards, checking in more often. You deserved better, Patricia said before we hung up. You deserved parents who saw you, and I'm sorry they didn't. After that call, I cried. Not sad tears, relief, validation. Someone had seen it. Someone had been witness. January arrived with a new year and a strange lightness. 2 months without contact. In that space, I started building something new. I took up pottery, started running, said yes to a date with someone from work. My parents' attempts became sporadic. A text here, an email there. We miss you, without ever addressing why I'd left. In March, I got promoted at work. Significant raise, new title, something I'd worked toward for 3 years. I posted about it professionally on social media. Within an hour, my father called. I let it go to voicemail. He called again. And again. Finally, I answered. Congratulations, he said. That's a big deal. We're proud of you. Something in my chest tightened. I waited. We'd love to take you to dinner to celebrate. Your mother and I realize we haven't been as present as we should be. You forgot my birthday, I said quietly. You spent the entire day celebrating Emma's promotion and didn't remember I turned 30. Silence. Heavy and long. We know, he said finally. We've been talking. Emma told us some things about growing up, about how we treated you. She said she always felt guilty. That surprised me. Emma had noticed. I'm not ready, I said. I'm not ready to have dinner and pretend everything's fine. We're not asking you to pretend, he said. We just want to try. But I understand if you need more time. April brought my 31st birthday. I didn't post about it, didn't send reminders. I went to work, had dinner with Rachel, came home expecting nothing. At 8 p.m., my doorbell rang. A delivery. Inside was a cake. Simple vanilla, happy birthday in careful frosting, and a card, 3 pages, handwritten, from my mother. She listed moments, specific ones, where she'd chosen Emma over me, the spelling bee she'd dismissed, the debate competitions she'd missed, the college acceptance she'd barely acknowledged. She owned every one. I told myself you were fine, she wrote. You were so capable. I convinced myself you didn't need me the way Emma did. But the truth is, I took the easy path. Emma demanded attention, and you didn't, so I gave it to her. I made you raise yourself. I can't get those years back, but I see you now. I finally see you. I cried reading that letter. Not because it fixed anything. It didn't. But because it was the first time I'd felt truly seen by her. That night, I called. We talked for 3 hours. We didn't solve everything. But it was real. Over the following months, things changed slowly. They started showing up differently. Calling just to talk. Remembering my work events. Inviting me to things without Emma. It was awkward, like strangers learning to be family. Emma and I talked too. She admitted she'd always known, had always felt guilty. I was afraid, she said. If they started noticing you more, maybe they'd notice me less. There should have been enough for both of us, I said. She nodded. There should have been. We're not perfect now. We're not some Hallmark fantasy. But we're honest. They don't forget my birthday anymore. They show up. And when they don't, they own it immediately. I'm learning to trust that. Learning to let them back in, carefully, with boundaries I enforce without guilt. The truth is, I didn't destroy my family when I stepped back. I saved myself. And in saving myself, I gave them the chance to be better. The folder on my computer, the one labeled documentation, I haven't opened it in months. Maybe I never will again. It served its purpose. It reminded me I wasn't crazy. I wasn't overreacting. I was just asking to be seen. And now, finally, I am. If you've ever felt invisible in your own family, if you've ever been the one expected to be strong while everyone else got to be weak, this story is for you. Sometimes walking away isn't giving up. It's refusing to accept crumbs when you deserve a seat at the table. It's teaching people that you're not optional, not a backup plan, not someone who will always be there regardless of how they treat you. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply stop showing up and let them feel your absence. Tell me in the comments, have you ever had to step back from family to save yourself? Have you ever been the invisible child who had to become visible on your own terms? I read every story you share, and I promise, you're not alone in this. And if you want more stories about setting boundaries and choosing yourself without apology, subscribe. Because there's always another quiet revolution waiting to be told, another person finding their voice in the silence.